Since 1991, the Singapore government has taken the lives of at least 518 people through the use of the death penalty. In the last 12 months alone, we have lost 12 precious people who have been murdered by the state. We also learned today that 2 more execution notices have been scheduled, and it will be likely happening next week. This is a shameful legacy to carry on, and one we must act quickly to destroy. So far, we have lost Syed, whose story and voice inspired and kickstarted the Transformative Justice Collective. He was key in us building this entire mass movement that we have right now, and he was someone who was referred to as a gentle giant, who had a brilliant mind, a hunger for knowledge and information the world had to provide, and he had also suffered from addiction and debilitating mental health issues, but state institutions failed him. And his life trajectory ended with premature and unjust death. One beautiful thing that he did in the last week of his life was to actually donate the last of his life savings to us at Transformative Justice Collective. We lost Rosman, who spent 14 years on death row, the longest in Singapore's history as far as we know. He had been struggling with substance use for a long time, likely due to his long-term physical abuse and neglect. He was actually one of the 12 prisoners who fought a 4-year-long legal battle to hold the AGC and Singapore Prison Services accountable for their unlawful actions. His niece shared how his face always shone and he radiated positivity, even in the face of waiting for a fate so painful. We lost Masood, who had dreams of being a human rights lawyer or a member of TJC. He dedicated his time to helping other death row prisoners through actions like helping them with their legal cases, requesting his sister to order 27 R&B CDs that Rosman liked to ease Rosman's last week on earth. Even after having received his execution notice, he still worked hard on preparing legal applications for the others who still, he hoped, could have a chance to live. Pannir Selvam Prantaman is the state's next victim, with his execution being scheduled tomorrow at dawn. It is in resistance of Pannir's pending execution that we gather here today, and he will not be defined by what our government characterizes him to be. We gather here today to honor him, his life, his artistic gifts he brought to the world, his kind heart, and the tireless activism he and his family did to help so many people. All Singaporean residents in general already struggle to advocate for our own rights. And he was managing to do whatever he could from one of the darkest, inhumane places in Singapore, where freedoms and access to resources are heavily restricted. He's known amongst the family members of other prisoners to help with reviewing legal documents and arguments for their loved ones. And he has written a lot about the death penalty and life in prison, uncovering what is usually hidden from the public. He encouraged his family to use their tirelessness in fighting for him, to fight for others who are struggling and in need, which led them to start Sebara Kasih, a non-profit organization that works with underprivileged and marginalized communities in Malaysia. Their organization actively participates in human rights actions in Malaysia, standing in solidarity with other groups, something I wish that more non-profits and NGOs did in Singapore. But Pannir's life should not have to be justified by all the contributions that he has beautifully shared with us. He is an uncle who puts the pictures of his nieces and nephews on his cell wall. He's a brother whose sisters call him their life and have dedicated their entire existence for the last 8 years to fight for his life, never losing hope. He is a son and a man who loved his mom's mutton curry, a man who took joy in playing different musical instruments and football. I feel immense horror at seeing what the state has done to death row inmates and to our citizens. They dehumanize drug mules to manufacture our citizens' consent for the war on drugs and the death penalty. And in the process, they are dehumanizing all of us. What does it mean to continue living life normally while injustice happens in our name? What does it mean to teach our children that all human life should be preserved and harm should not be done to people, while we live in a reality and a country where harm and murder can be done as long as you're in power, because it's the law? What does it mean about us as people that we have citizens fiercely defending the government's right to take a life? Supporters of the death penalty say it's better for those on death row to die because it's wasting taxpayer money to keep them. At the same time, they are okay with taxpayer money being used on the salaries and benefits of police officers who catch and send people to their deaths. the public prosecutors who fight damn hard to send people to their deaths, and the prison officials who work dutifully to send people to their deaths without ever being able to touch their family members. Is this work that they are being paid for a public service to us?
No.
Yes, no. Are we really okay with our ministers getting massive amounts of salary and being able to build a palace for, let's say it again, working fearlessly and courageously to send people to their deaths by changing laws, persecuting activists, spreading propaganda, and being applauded for this work on the basis of his opinion and state-sanctioned biased research, not actual proven facts and proven interventions that have worked all around the world if he just cared to look?
Shame.
They say drug traffickers ruin lives by causing addiction. Let's settle this right here and right now. Addiction is not caused by the consumption of drugs. Addiction comes from pain, alienation from purpose, love, community, and belonging. Addiction is caused by capitalism. Addiction is caused by the conditions set in place by our government's greedy subservience to capitalism and money at the cost of our people. They say they kill them for our safety. I'd say if we ask the majority of people residing in Singapore right now who we fear the most, it's the state, it's the police, it's the legal system. How are we protecting ourselves and those most persecuted from the state? I think the second answer for most people is family. And we all know how family is a great tool used to suppress us as well from doing what we know is right and what we know is our principles. There is the belief that what led death row inmates to their fate was choice. But honestly, it's just luck, guys. If you're poor, this country is unforgiving to you and will never let you forget how insignificant your life is and how unwelcome you are in our country. If the state really cared about people suffering from addiction, they would focus more on creating conditions where people would not need to find escape from the pains in their life. Instead, what they choose to do is to scapegoat people like Pannir so that they don't have to answer for the failures to their people. Are we all okay with this madness?
No.
Are we all angry?
Yes.
I don't mean to be melodramatic here, but I am deeply, deeply worried at the soul level about the people we are and what we tolerate to happen for ourselves and for others because of the fear that we have inside of us, that we have been indoctrinated to have. But that being said, I know all of us here today absolutely refuse to accept this as status quo. Do we reject the assertion that we need to kill to be safe?
Yes.
Do we believe that the government should be listening to us and be at the mercy of us, not us to them?
Yes.
The only way forward is to show them that there are true and actual costs, serious costs to continuing to destroy lives, that there are very, very high stakes to betraying your citizens and the values that they hold. There is so much that all of us have done, and there is so much that more of us can do in large numbers. Today we are here to mourn and grieve, but also to resist and to practice resistance for what it is, for that is what it will take to build a country we want where no death will ever be done in our name, ever, ever, ever again. So now, let us show what it means to put our voices and bodies on the line for our values and principles, for what is done in our name. We would like to invite everyone to hold your placards up high right now and to chant with us.
What do we want?
Justice!
Where do we want it?
Now!